can you give me a bit of background about yourself?
A background about myself, yeah. Okay, so originally the music making has started pretty much back in 2015 with Soundation, and ever since then I've been experimenting with sound with Audacity.
Yeah,
But it's 2019 where I got FL Studio, and when I gave that a try, that's when I started really making those kinds of music that's especially on this album.
yeah, brilliant. So what first got you into music?
Well, I don't know, there's a lot of things that got me into music. It's hard for me to pinpoint when, but I just really liked music, especially at a young age.
Lovely. So what who's your inspiration?
Inspiration, like, I don't know, I can say pretty much to the weirder kind of artists, like Aphex Twin and Tom Disavelt.
Oh, nice. I like Aphex Twin. Yeah, they're good.
Yeah.
So
And like some strange, like kind of anime breakcore artists like Starlet.
right. Oh, interesting. You've got quite a mix there of
And and probably some like no wave artists like James Chance and the Contortions and Teenage Jesus and the Jerks.
right. Wow. So quite you've got quite a
And
palette there.
and yeah, and probably the early electronic pioneers like Synergy, Jean, or sorry if I butcher it, Jean-Michel Jarre, I think.
Okay.
Tangerine Dream,
Oh
Kraftwerk,
yeah.
yeah, I have a lot of influences.
Brilliant. So how would you describe the music that you typically create? Is there a certain genre you stick to, or do you just like to explore?
Do I what?
Do you just like to explore different sounds, or do you have a certain
Yeah, I
genre
like
you
uh, I
stick
like
to?
exploring many different sounds. I'm actually kind of a connoisseur in music, actually. I wanted to try to make everything I could,
Yeah.
but I know it's not. I know I won't achieve everything, but I am pretty experimental. So
Yeah. I mean, I've noticed that your back catalog, you have a lot of music out there. This year alone, it looks like over 10 albums. Is that
yeah,
right?
basically, yes, basically, yeah. Just released one today called Goth of Mad World.
I mean, how do you manage to create so music? What keeps you going?
What kept me going is it's just I think because I had so much time on my hands, it's just basically why I was able to keep going. But it
Cool.
wasn't always, but it's not always that I do have time on my hands. A lot of times I do get sick, and I probably would have been making more if I wasn't always sick.
So how does your sickness get in the way of your life?
Oh, it gets in the way of my life in a lot of ways. I mean, just yesterday, I had the worst anxiety freakouts, and that's basically because of I was just taking a med that was not meant to be taken like so frequently, and then I ended up getting a panic attack over it. Felt
Right.
like I was going to die.
Wow. Wow.
And
That
that was after so many like hospital visits and stuff like that. So
yeah.
yeah, you could understand. I was desperate to get my situation fixed.
Really. So are you still working on that then?
Am I still working on music?
No, getting your situation fixed.
Oh, hell yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
It sounds like a constant battle. So well done for
Yeah,
persevering. It's
yeah.
really good. You'll have to excuse my voice. I've got a bit of a cold at the moment, so it might
It's
be
all
quite hard
right.
to
It's all
understand
right.
me.
You know what? I excuse pretty much everyone, all right? God bless everyone. So
Yeah. Oh, lovely. So the name of the artist, Ebola Hunter. What
yeah.
made you come up with that name?
It's actually from a 2010 Ugandan action movie Who Killed Captain Alex.
Right. And it
It
what in that
originally started as something else, but the first three albums, which are like kind of completely experimental ambient kind of music, concrete kind of sound collage kind of things,
yeah,
was originally under the name Better Skates, but because now that I have the stage name Ebola Hunter, I've decided to brand these first three albums as that.
right. Yeah, because it's a bit of an interesting name and a shocking name. Because I remember when Ebola was very big in the news, and my
Yeah,
friends would be like, "We can't say anything bad about Ebola." And then you've got this very bold artist name, Ebola Hunter. So I just wanted to find
yeah,
out where that came from because it was a very interesting name. So
yeah,
you make a lot of music, I can tell. What is your
yeah.
creative process like? Is there a certain way you always start making music, or does it depend on the day and how you're feeling?
Well, it often depends on how I feel at first, but sometimes I would work on a weird day.
Yeah. So,
Like,
what
for
you
example, there was this 8.5 hour album called Repent Now. It was based on Revelations. It actually took influence from the caretakers everywhere at the end of time.
wow, 8 hours. Um,
Yeah,
that is a
and
very long album to make. Must have taken you longer to mix it and everything.
it's like a sound collage kind of like album, kind of like how the caretaker does it.
Right.
Except it's meant to be creepy. Like tribulation is something that's hard to get through, and that's the point of this album. And it's
Brilliant.
supposed to put you on this roller coaster ride.
So let's talk about Sakuya's Requiem. Have I said that right?
Yeah, yeah, I believe so. Yes, Sakuya's
Brilliant.
Requiem. Yeah.
Cool. What is the background for this album? What was your inspiration? I know you wrote a little bit to me about it. I
Hmm.
I kind of understood bits of it. Was
Hmm.
it is very like very detailed, I think. So I think it would be best coming from you. What's
All
the
right.
background to the project?
Well, it's basically you understand how technology has been spreading all across the world. How Ted Kaczynski wrote a manifesto and how increasing technology has been damaging for the human race, and people have begun relating to that as they feel the effects that Ted Kaczynski had feared for so long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is
And
there
then this is a weird kind of hyperbolic depiction of it. Because I
right?
mean, if you see the cover art of the girl Sakuya, like it's supposed to be this kind of thing where it's like technological convenience, but it's not. She's a slave to the computer.
Yeah.
Basically, she wears this kind of strange sleep sack kind of thing, and yeah, she has no arms. The wires are connected to her, and she's this thing known as that cyber doll, and that's the things that inhabit this computer controlled world, basically.
Wow. That's a really interesting. Yeah, I can see it now. She's bound and she's kneeling on the floor, surrounded by
Yeah,
these wires. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
cool. So, who would be interested in this album? Who's it for? If you had an audience to sell this to, who would you be
Oh,
selling this
it's pretty much a gamble at this point, you know?
for?
But probably weird anime breakcore artists would probably be interested in it.
Right.
I mean, the song Ted Kaczynski alone that's on that album has pretty much been the most popular song on the page for quite some time, actually.
Oh, okay. Interesting. And
Yeah.
so would you say that's your favorite song from the album, or do you have another one that you would choose?
Favorite song from the album? I don't know. Your Wealth is an Illusion's kind of a pretty beautiful one, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like from what I'm expecting from you listening to it as it's a lot of things are probably going to go through your mind when listening to it, either good and bad. So,
Yeah, I'm excited to listen to it. I deliberately try to not listen to things before I interview people because I think it's nice to
Hmm.
meet the person first and go
Hmm.
and have the interview without any judgment or anything about the album and then do it afterwards. And it also gives me a nice background to it and a bit more context.
Hmm.
So if you could give people a reason to listen to your music, whether it's this album or any of the other albums you've done,
Hmm.
what would you say? What makes your music unique from others?
What makes my music unique from others?
Mm,
It's just the fact that I experiment a lot, and basically my previous album, I mean, my latest album, Goth of Mad World, you know that one?
yeah.
It's used both using FL Studio and Audacity, and sometimes I would take the samples of my previous songs and sometimes distort them in kind of a strange way. So
Okay.
yeah, you have to be like you have to have a pretty weird taste in music to like it. But the thing is, I'm intending to balance this out though.
Okay. And how do you mean balance it out?
You know, like when I get better, I can probably focus on making music that's probably, you know, more conventional to the listener.
Okay, so like more mainstream sounding music that would appeal
Uh,
to masses more than a few. Okay. Sounds
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah, so like you understand with Frank Zappa, like he's that kind of artist that experiments with a lot of music genres too, you know?
Mm. It must be interesting, like in the future, to look back at this stuff when you're in a different place, um,
Hmm.
and to see like,
Hmm.
oh, I can't believe I made that when I was in that space, in that mindset or whatever. And I always find that so
Hmm.
unique because it's a moment
Hmm.
that you may never capture again. I mean, do you feel that
Yeah.
with some of your projects already?
Yeah, I kind of feel like that. Oh yeah, if you see this is actually a shirt I did
Oh,
with
nice.
the yeah.
Very cool. Um, so
You could actually get it in the store. Like there I have a Japanese shop where I've sold many works that have
brilliant.
like artworks on them. So
Well, you'll have to send me the links and I can link them in the descriptions of these videos for you.
all
Because
right.
I think it'll be useful as well.
A lot of these anime artworks are pretty weird. A lot of them are like pretty abstract and all stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, I can link whatever you send me. I can link it, put it in the description. That'd be great.
All right.
Um, so how do you feel? I think I know what the answer might be to this, but how do you feel the internet has impacted your approach to being an artist? Has it been positive? Has it been negative? A bit of both?
It was a bit of both.
Yeah.
I mean,
What do
I prefer like the weird side of music making, the experimental side of music making, more than the than the mainstream garbage that often gets subject to me.
Yeah, yeah. Do you feel like the internet's helped you create unusual
Hmm.
music and find people that would be interested in that?
Yep, absolutely. I've had many positive and feedback, and I have some feedback that's not always positive. So yeah, I do have a well mixed reaction, you know?
Yeah, fantastic.
And
Um,
that's kind of what I'm expecting from you, you know?
yeah, well, I pride myself on giving mixed reactions and also being honest because I believe you can be honest and not mean when it comes to music, and some people go straight to the mean side of things, but
Yeah, I can understand that, but I mean, it's not gonna hurt my feelings much if some people were mean about it. I mean, there's one person who installed my album. Okay, that's fine. You can do that.
yeah. Well, it's something as artists we have to get used to. I make music, and there's people that don't like it, and I've had mean things said about my music.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
you
you
have to
know, that's
accept it.
the yeah, that's the you know, that's the best part about making music.
Yeah,
You know, you get not only do you get love, but you also get like hate for it, and sometimes, you know, sometimes the hate can be pretty fucking amazing and funny sometimes,
it
you know?
can, and it can actually fuel you. And I mean, you've just got to think the most popular band in the world, the Beatles. They were
Hmm.
hated by many people, and there were lots of people that didn't like their music. So it's very
Yeah.
common, and I don't think that's ever going to go away. And I think it's the most over
Yeah,
criticized art form
I've
in the
listened
world.
to many Beatles album. I'm actually a connoisseur of music, you know?
Yeah.
I would listen to like a random album. One day it would be the Beatles, next day it would be Gino Vanelli, next day it would be Kraftwerk. Next day it would be Depeche Mode. Next day it would be is it Sex Pistols? You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, that's good. It's good you've got such an eclectic palette for music there. So, my
Yeah.
last question for you then is, what's next for you? I can have a guess. It's probably an album tomorrow.
I already released that. I'm already releasing the album Goth of Mad World. It's actually on my YouTube channel right now.
Yeah.
And it's gonna
So
be on Spotify and other streaming services too. So
after that, what's next?
my next album, I don't know, maybe 2024 could probably be when my next album will happen. So
Do you think that that's you done for 2023 then?
probably, yeah.
Wow, but I was looking at your track record. I was expecting at least five more albums before 2023. But
Yeah. I just love to experiment with sound whenever I'm feeling good and all that stuff like that.
yeah, no, it's great. It's great to see so much music being put out there,
Mhm.
and done so frequently. I wish I had the time and also the creative tap to just keep making stuff like it seems you've been doing recently. But we go through drier spells, don't we? And we go through more
All
creative
right.
spells too. Yeah, super. Well, it has been lovely to talk to you.
It's
If
been
you,
lovely to talk to you too. And you know what? I'm very looking forward to you reviewing that album. I love to see your reaction to it. So
well,
yeah,
after our conversation, I'm definitely a lot more intrigued about this now. So it's
there's
been
gonna be
great.
some songs that you think are gonna be it's kind of boring, it's kind of crap, and then there's songs that are probably gonna maybe entice you, maybe. So
We'll see, we'll see. But I always like to give positives, as well as constructive feedback. So yeah, it'll be fine.
yeah,
But yeah, I hope you have a lovely rest of your day. Take care.
yeah, you too. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Oh, I say.